is Reina Paola Beltrán Molina. I am studying English at una university right now in the state of Pasto. In this opportunity, I am coursing the course Testing and Evaluation in ELT. In this activity is the final exam. The tutor is Edner Suarez. The general purpose is to know specific kinds of tests that evaluate specific skills in a language will start interpreting the difference between assessing a skill from another, design specific tests and prove them with specific student population. The course objectives, two objectives. The first is to understand and analyze the vast concept of testing and evaluation, relating them to language teaching. And the second objective is analyze the types of evaluation and tests depending on the development of specific skills and according to the context and the specific purpose present by the students. Specific objectives: to recognize and design tests, we look for assessing why for specific skills, writing, or reading, listening, and speaking. Beside to design and able the evaluation for the community in the first phase, and will present a report about it. The methods and approaches in the process of teaching English learning. The first is the traditional approach. In the traditional approach, it's the grammar translation method. This method arises in the century 19th, began the first note method in the teaching of foreign language, bases the teaching of a second language in the delayed analysis of grammar rules and their exceptions, to the applied the knowledge acquired to the translation of sentence and text. Okay. Other approach is the natural approach. Within this approach, those methods that are based on the principles of farming natural learning of children. In the natural approach, it's the direct method. It emerged at the end of the 19th century as a reaction to the previous grammatical translation method. This method allows that to teach a foreign language. It is not necessary to make a translation into the mother language, but through demonstration and actions of we want to teach. Other approach is the structural approach. In this approach are the linguist audio method. This method for learning language is similar to the direct method. Like the direct method, the audiolingual method advises that students used a different language without the need to use the mother tongue to explain the new words of the grammar of the foreign language. However, unlike the direct method, the audiolingual method didn't focus on the teaching of vocabulary. In the structural approach, to is the audiovisual method. This method was developed in France after 1000 and 954. It gives priority to oral language rather than to writing. Other approach is the communicative. In the communicative method, the origins of this approach date back to the years 1000 and the 960 years. This approach pays attention to helping the students to use the language in a variety of contexts. The point of the present work is the assessment. Types of the assessment. First is the diagnostic evaluation. Functions identify the intellectual abilities of basic competence of the students before facing a new educational process, and identify weaknesses, strengths, and present alternatives for correction. The characteristics of the diagnostic evaluation are: it is applied before beginning of the learning process. You designed focus on evaluation certain essentials prerequisites to address the learning process. Other type of assessment is the summative evaluation. It is evaluation evaluate to the learning achieved by students at the end of an academic period. It serves as a criterion to promote or not promote the students. Evaluation should through technology. The use of the new technology in the students' assessment process is a different way of evaluation compared to the ones that have been done so far. In this sense, new technologies can be of great help, not so much to change to the concept and form of evaluation, but as tools that allow to use the resources of time and material more efficiently, both for the teacher and for the student. Evaluation of the teaching of English for a specific purpose in education. Currently, the English language is considered as a fundamental tool to expand the occupational field, promote intellectual autonomy, and fully participate in the world where the interaction between human beings doesn't necessarily imply physical presence. The management of the language constitutes access to the formalized knowledge and to various notions of the world, of culture and society, conserved within a globalized scenario. Conclusions. In the educational process, evaluation is a fundamental means to know the social relevance of the objective set, degree of progress with respect to them, as well as the effectiveness, impact, and efficiency of the action taken. Other conclusions is the evaluation is an opportunity to do teaching, to do education, and it reaches this sense when it constitutes the basis for making decisions about what the student can and should to continue his educations. Thank you.